Friday night. I'm 2 glasses of wine deep, and I'm going to rank every Jane Austen adaptation. So anyone who knows me will know that deeply to my core, I am obsessed with Jane Austen. So I want to talk about all of these screen adaptations today. We did have to cut it off somewhere though, because if I did every Jane Austen retelling, then we'd literally be here for about 3 months. So to make things clear, we are doing time era accurate adaptations only, no modern retellings or alt versions, and we had to cut it off somewhere. So I'm also doing only adaptations that were produced after 1990 and no like small indie budgeted movies, big productions only. Okay, let's go. So for Sense and Sensibility, we have 2 adaptations to battle it out here. We've got the 1995-1996 movie with Emma Thompson and Kate Winslet, Alan Rickman, Hugh Grant, Greg Wise, stacked cast. Then we have the TV miniseries, which came out in 2008. Where to start? Okay. Let me first start off by saying that out of the Jane Austen novels, Sense and Sensibility is probably my least favourite. I still absolutely love it, but there is something about Sense and Sensibility that I find less satisfying than the others. I think it's more because it focuses on the family dynamics of the sisters more than the love stories. Is that true though? I'd need to dwell on this more, but Sense and Sensibility, when I finish the story of Sense and Sensibility, I am left with a feeling of like comfort and that was nice, more than this feeling of like, that was so perfect, I'm gonna die. So let's start with the movie. Stacked cast, well made, very nostalgic feeling, like a warm hug, not badly made in any way. But there's something missing in the movie for me, and I think it's maybe a lack of development. I feel like the TV show does this as well, actually. I don't think we get enough initial build-up with Eleanor and Edward. The whole falling in love with each other is really like skipped over quick. And I understand that's because it's a really long novel and there's a lot of ground to cover after that happens. But from a viewer point of view, I think it would be more effective if they showed the romantic development of Eleanor and Edward a bit more in the beginning. So the movie, I really like the movie, but the TV show is better, in my opinion. Also, yeah, please do remember that through this entire video, absolutely everything is my opinion, and it is my opinion, it's not fact, you know, I guess. But if you have a different opinion, that's fine. You don't have to agree with me. We're just here to have a conversation and talk about Jane Austen, because what a diva she was. But yeah, I do think that the TV series of Sense and Sensibility is much better than the movie. They're both good in their own rights. The TV show, you get more development. Of course you do, because it's a TV series and not a 2-hour movie. I think in both adaptations, it's really well cast. As in, like, Eleanor and Marianne are very well cast in both of them. I think they have great chemistry as sisters in both of them. But the TV series just gets you in the feelings more. I just think it's better. I also love Hugh Grant and I love Emma Thompson. I think Emma Thompson is such a good Eleanor. I don't buy into them as a couple that much. They do come across a bit brother and sistery, and I don't know if that's just because I know that they're brother and sister in Love Actually. But I do get that in Sense and Sensibility. I don't fully buy into their relationship, despite the incredible acting from Emma Thompson, especially at the end with when Edward comes back. But that being said, yeah, TV show above the movie for me. So let's pop these in. Okay. Oh, by the way, I didn't go through the layers of what we're doing in this tier list. So I've done 4 tiers. The bottom one is, it was badly done indeed.
It was badly done indeed.
Above that, we have, she is tolerable, I suppose.
She is tolerable, I suppose.
Above that, we have, I do like him. I do like him.
I love him.
And above that, we have every day of my life that is not spent in your company is a day wasted.
Every day of my life that is not spent in your company is a day wasted.
So, Sense and Sensibility. I feel like I'm going to have to be a bit cutthroat with these because otherwise absolutely everything is just going to be in these top two tiers and I'm going to have nothing in these. So, again, keep in mind Sense and Sensibility is probably my least favourite novel. This Sense and Sensibility is above the other. This Sense and Sensibility is more than tolerable, but because we've only got 4 tiers, I'm going to put the movie in She is Tolerable. Okay, next.
Feelings of others. I had not known you a month before I felt you were the last man in the world whom I could ever marry.
You have said quite enough, madam.
Made me realise that you were the last man in the world I could ever be prevailed upon to marry.
Right, it's the controversial one. Let's just get it over with. There are 2 very, very distinct camps when it comes to Pride and Prejudice. And it's those who are pro TV series 1995 and it's those who are pro movie 2005. I respect your decision in whichever of these camps you sit in. I am not here to tell you that you are wrong if you prefer one that is the opposite of what I prefer. And I think it massively comes down to a couple of factors. One honestly seems to be age. Whenever I meet someone who's older, it's usually the TV series, and someone younger, they often haven't seen the TV series, so it's usually the movie. But there's 2 camps, and this is what I think divides the camps. If you are pro TV series, it is because you're a Jane Austen purist. You really, really care about the source material, and what you consider a good adaptation is how loyal it is to the novel, and it doesn't veer or take liberties. If you prefer those things, you'll prefer the series. But if you are fine with changes being made in an adaptation because it's novel to screen, you love amazing, stunning cinematography, overcut with a absolutely stunning score. You absolutely love insane sexual chemistry and like yearning. You love confessions of love in the rain where people almost kiss. You're going to prefer the movie. Okay, let me give you a bit of backstory for me and Pride and Prejudice. I'm going to need a wine refill again soon. When I say I grew up on the TV series for Pride and Prejudice, I grew up on the TV series, okay? My mum loves it. We had it on VHS. Like, you remember those? Are you old enough to remember those? I had in my bedroom when I was a kid, like a TV VHS combo, and I used to literally watch Pride and Prejudice on repeat to fall asleep every single night. I knew it inside out from a very, very young age. When I was 12, the movie came out. I never went to see it at the cinema. My mum is one of those people that finds Keira Knightley really, really irritating, so she didn't get it on VHS or DVD, and this was the days before streaming services. So I didn't see the movie until I was later on into my teen years. And when I first saw the movie, I was like, yeah, that's good, but like it missed so much out. All the characters weren't even in it. They skipped so much story. I really liked it, but it's a TV series for me. Then I got into adulthood. I left home. I no longer had these VHS tapes and streaming services became a thing. So when I got into adulthood, I watched the movie quite a few times. And every time I watched the movie, I was just like, God, this is good stuff. This is really good stuff. I eventually got to a point where I was very much on the fence between the two. And I was just like, I don't have a preference. I like them both equally. They're both good in their own ways. But every single time I rewatch both the series and the movie, every time I watch both of them, the TV series gets worse and the movie gets better. I don't know what to say. It's movie for me. Look, I can do this right now. Movie right to the top of my list. I am obsessed with the movie. Every time I watch it, I realise how much better it is.
What excellent boiled potatoes.
The TV series, the more I watch it, the more it like doesn't age well and the more naff it becomes. I literally watched it the other day. Preparation for this, the TV series of Pride and Prejudice was the last thing I rewatched before filming this video. I was so embarrassed by all those scenes where they speak out loud and the scenes where like Colin Firth's face just like appears in mirrors. I was just like, no, please. That being said, I love both. No hate if you prefer the series. Do your thing, girl. But I don't know how you could watch that proposal scene in the rain where they're shouting at each other and look at each other's lips and almost kiss, and then watch the TV series Proposal where they're just having a bit of a chat in Mr. Collins' parlour and be like, yeah, this is better. I mean, you know, each their own, but please, be for real. Okay. Why do I want to put it in She is Tolerable? I'm going to have to put him in I Do Like Him. Surely I prefer it better than Sense and Sensibility. Oh, do you know what? This Sense and Sensibility, I've only seen once, and I watched it for the first time in order to film this video, but it was the first thing I watched. Stupidest thing I've ever done, because I've only seen it once, and I watched it ages ago now, and all I remember is that, yes, it was really good, but I can't remember the details of it enough. So that was a really stupid thing for me to do, because my ranking of it could be very different if I remembered it more. Oh, come on, I'm gonna, someone will come around my house and cut me when I'm in my sleep if I don't put Pride and Prejudice above Sense and Sensibility, let's be real. Mansfield Park next.
Fanny, what are you doing here? Now, what have you done, Fanny?
Okay, Mansfield Park. Jane Austen's Cinderella. Okay, let's get straight into the 1999 movie with Frances O'Connor and Johnny Lee Miller. One of the best adaptations. I love this version of Mansfield Park. A bit like Pride and Prejudice movie, the more you watch it, the better it gets. It is slightly less faithful than this Billie Piper version. So again, maybe if you're a Pride and Prejudice TV series purist, maybe you prefer Billie Piper's version. But God, I love this Mansfield Park. I think it's the budget as well. Like, you can just tell it's just so much better made. It's just more gripping. You know what? With this version of Mansfield Park, I've seen it a handful of times throughout my life. Every time I watch it, I have this feeling of like, well, that was nice. I'm enjoying this. This is actually better than I was expecting it to be. But the second it's over, couldn't tell you anything that happened. Couldn't tell you anything about that. I mean, I could, because I know the whole plot of Mansfield Park, but I couldn't tell you what happened in that film. You know, sometimes when you read a book and as the second you finish it, you're like, couldn't tell you a thing that happened in that book. But I know the vibes, and I like the vibes. That's how I feel about that Mansfield Park. I always know I like the vibes, but I can't remember it anytime. It's just I get immediate just amnesia whenever I'm finished watching it. The only thing I can tell you about this Mansfield Park, Billie Piper and Klaus Michelson is in it at some point. Other than that, couldn't tell you anything about this Mansfield Park. This Mansfield Park, however, I could tell you it frame by frame. Should I mention this point now or wait till Emma? I mean, Emma's next, so let's just talk about it now. Johnny Lee Miller. Does it matter that he plays two Jane Austen heroes? No, it doesn't, because he smashes both of them. I think he's an incredible Mr. Knightley. I think he's an incredible Edmund. And I don't necessarily compare them. Like, when I do watch this Emma and when I watch this Mansfield Park, I'm not thinking about how he's also Mr. Knightley and also Edmund. But if I have to pick whether he's a better Mr. Knightley or a better Edmund, by the way, he's a phenomenal Mr. Knightley, but Johnny Lee Miller is my Edmund. I think he's a perfect Edmund. I love his chemistry with Frances O'Connor in this. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say other than, like, this Mansfield Park absolutely slaps. Absolute classic. Okay, so where's this Mansfield Park going? She's Tolerable. Like I say, I always know the vibes are good, but I literally can't tell you anything that happens, so bottom of the list, but I wouldn't say it's badly done indeed. Okay. All right, let's get into Emma. We'll be there about 3 hours. Let's get into it.
You saw her answer. You wrote her answer.
You wrote her answer, didn't you?
You saw her answer.
Hello.
You wrote it.
You saw her answer. You wrote her answer. This is your doing.
Emma. You've made her too tall, Emma. I find it mental that we get 1 Northanger Abbey, 2 of basically everything else, but we get 4 Emmas. You know, on top of that, we've got Clueless. Do we need 4 Emmas? Do we need 4 Emmas to come out in the same year, like within, like, I don't know how soon these came apart? A couple of months. Did we need both of these Emmas? No, but we got them. Right, let's just go in chronological order. Kate Beckinsale, brunette Emma. Listen, let's get back into this purist argument. If you're a Jane Austen purist, this might be your Emma. It's so loyal to the source material that it's shit. No, that's not true. And that makes me sound like I'm saying Jane Austen's shit. She's obviously not. She's an absolute icon. Love everything about her. But this is a perfect example of when you're too pure, it goes massively wrong. We'll later come to an example that when you're not pure enough, it's also an absolute trash fire. But this is the other end of the spectrum. When you stay too pure, Yawn City, bitch. I'm tempted to put this Emma in It Was Badly Done Indeed. I have no desire to ever watch this Emma again. Not when we've got, especially these two, spoiler alert. This Emma really leans into the age gap of Emma and Mr. Knightley, which obviously is very era correct and it's very novel correct. But when you're watching it from a modern lens, it becomes icky.
I held you in my arms when you were 3 weeks old.
Do you like me as well now as you did then?
I also just don't think that Kate Beckinsale and the guy who plays Mr. Knightley have any chemistry at all. Boring. Don't care. I just don't care about this Emma. There's so many better versions of Emma that we're about to look at. So let's get into Gwen next. So, you know when I said that my mum is one of those people that finds Keira Knightley really, really irritating for no good reason? Gwyneth Paltrow is probably that person for me. Not at all times. There's sometimes she doesn't annoy me whatsoever, then sometimes she does annoy me. This version of Emma is one of those times where she annoys me a little bit. Also, this version of Emma, despite like stacked cast again, so many of these Emmas have just, actually I think every single version of these adaptations has an absolutely insane cast. Let's not pretend that they don't. But this version of Emma, despite the like literal like probably Oscar winning actors that are in this, I don't know, has Toni Collette ever won an Oscar? Has Gwyneth Paltrow? It felt so amateur dramatics. When I watch this Emma, I feel like I'm watching a play that's been recorded and not a film, and not in a good way. It's way better than this Emma. I do like it. She's tolerable. I prefer her above... I don't know, actually. I'm going to put her under this Sense and Sensibility. But these are probably quite similar to me. Better than the other Emma, but not as good as the next two Emmas. So let's just get straight into them. Okay, this Emma. How do you pronounce her name? Oh my god, I need to change position. I'm getting a dead leg. How do you pronounce this chick's name?
Romola Garai.
I beg your pardon? In English?
Romola Garai.
That can't be right. I'm just going to call her RG. Johnny Lee Miller and RG. This is the only Emma that's a TV series, and as a result, as forementioned with Sense and Sensibility and Pride and Prejudice, you're going to get a much better telling of the story. I think if you don't know the story of Emma, then this is the version you need to hit first. Absolutely amazing retelling of Emma. I absolutely love it. What else can I say about it, really? I know it is very, very much perceived as the best version in a lot of circles. I don't know. I don't actually know that many people in real life to talk about Jane Austen with. Again, I think Johnny Lee Miller is an incredible Mr. Knightley. You know what? I might even prefer it to Pride and Prejudice. I do. I prefer it to Pride and Prejudice. God, the Pride and Prejudice people are going to come for me. And the reason I put it there is because I'm obsessed. This Emma is so slept on. I don't see people talking about this version of Emma enough. This version of Emma does exactly the same thing as the movie of Pride and Prejudice, where yes, it does modernise things, but to the perfect balance, for me anyway. Like, I might actually do a video on this comparing scenes in Emma, especially the dance scenes between Emma and Mr. Knightley, because the scene in this version of Emma where they dance and then they kind of just get caught up staring at each other and everyone bashes into them on the dance floor. And then that scene where Johnny Flynn runs through the village, sprinting at the crack of dawn to get to Emma's door. And then she sees him and Anna Taylor-Joy and she runs out. And then that scene where he just goes home and he's so in love with Emma and he doesn't know what to do with himself that he just like throws his clothes off and falls on the floor. There's just the yearning in this version of Emma. The tension in this version of Emma. If you couldn't tell, I really love sexual tension in my movies and TV shows. So the more an adaptation lands the tension, because to me that's what Jane Austen is. She's so good at slow burn tension. And that's what I want to see in my adaptations, and this version of Emma does it best. I love this version of Emma. I watch it very frequently. It's a real comfort movie for me. Okay, next up we have, oh God, Persuasion. I'm going to need a wine refill for Persuasion, okay.
This is Musgrove.
It is most pleasant to see you again so soon, Captain.
How's your boy?
This is my elder sister, Anne.
We are acquainted.
Really? But Anna's never said a word about it.
Everybody loves me, and I'm a sailor.
Captain, meet Mary's sister, Anne.
Persuasion. Okay, let's do Persuasion. I was raised by a Jane Austen fanatic, and that fanatic, aka my mum, her favourite novel is Persuasion. So maybe I've been biased in the way I've been raised because I've been raised in a very, very pro-persuasion household. I was also raised in a very, very pro-dispersuasion household. I had never seen this Persuasion until I watched for the first time. So this Persuasion and this Sensibility, I think I said earlier this Sense and Sensibility was the only thing. I was lying, it was also this. These are the only two examples where I had to watch something for the first time in order to film this video. Obviously this Persuasion is very recent, so I did not grow up on it. This Persuasion I've seen so many times throughout my life. This Persuasion is how I know Persuasion. This Persuasion is why I love Persuasion. As a result, she's going here. Spoiler alert. I love Persuasion. I'm a really, really overly romantic, overly nostalgic person. I relate to Anne Elliot so much. I love that she's not a typical heroine. I love that she's really meek and feeble and a people pleaser and she just gets walked all over. Obviously that sounds really bad, but I love that as a heroine because you don't often see it. And I really respect that she gets her happy ending and finds the love of her life despite having these traits that are usually considered like bad. I love the yearning in Persuasion. I mentioned this before, if it's got sexual tension and yearning, that's just my catnip. And Persuasion has both of those things and I love that so much about Persuasion. Which is why 2022 Persuasion. First, let me start by saying one of my favourite actresses of all time. There's not many celebrities that I freak out about. Dakota Johnson is one of them for me. She's such an icon to me, which is why I hate how dirty she was done. She did so well with what she was given in this version of Persuasion. Let me say what I like about this version of Persuasion first. Edward Bluemel. Obsessed with Edward Bluemel. If you watch my Lady Jane video, you'll know how much I love Edward Bluemel. I'm obsessed with Dakota Johnson, okay? Two of my favourite actors ever are in this movie. The cinematography, stunning. I love the colour in this Persuasion. This Emma, too pure to source material, to the point where it hasn't aged well. It's aged quite boring because it's gone from a novel to screen without enough consideration of those changes and enough consideration for a modern audience, because it has been 200 years, guys, over 200 years. This Persuasion, exact opposite. This Persuasion, they try to make Anne Elliot modern, relatable and funny. But in doing so, it completely makes the entire plot of Persuasion irrelevant. Because if Anne Elliot was confident and like outspoken and funny, like the story doesn't make sense. She's like ostracized by the rest of her family and they look down on her because she's just this sort of like weak little field mouse who they can walk all over.
You want to marry Anne? Whatever for?
In this version, Anne is so confident and self-assured, like her family wouldn't walk all over her.
What?
It doesn't give yearning because she doesn't have the personality or the characteristics that match it. I also don't particularly think she has that much chemistry with the guy who plays Wentworth. There's also that line where they change it to, "We're exes," and I'm like, oh, get out, get in the bin. I get what you're doing. I understand the purpose of what they tried to do with this Persuasion, because it's 2022 when they made it, and these two versions of Persuasion are old, and I can almost guarantee that most people who watch this Persuasion did not know the story of Persuasion and had never seen these Persuasions, nor had they ever read Persuasion. So they needed to tell it for a modern audience that they thought young people would find more appealing, but in doing so, the story stopped making sense. Do you know what? This was going to go straight to the bottom, but now I'm looking at it. I would much rather watch it over this. The saving grace for this is how obsessed I am with Dakota Johnson, and despite the script being crap, she did do the best she could do with what she was given. Also Edward Bluemel. This Persuasion, again, I watched for the first time. Amanda Root was such a good Anne Elliot. I was shooketh when I watched this at how perfectly she encapsulated Anne. I know a lot of people from looking at YouTube comments and stuff think that this Persuasion is the best. And I actually think that my opinion on these two persuasions, on this one and this one, are going to be very, very biased because of the fact I've only seen this one once, and I've seen this one, like, honestly, I couldn't tell you how many times because I grew up in it. So this Persuasion, I really, really loved. God, I can't put it above Pride and Prejudice. I'm going to put it here. Again, so these are two I've only seen once. Oh, God, I really, really... When this is finished, I might rewatch this Sense and Sensibility and let you know if my opinion on it has changed after this ranking, because I really don't remember it very well. Okay, next.
She was undressing to bathe herself, and the amorous monk had full opportunity to observe the voluptuous contours and admirable symmetry of her person as she drew off her last garment.
Look, listen, we don't even need to talk about it. Hello? Look, Northanger Abbey might be my favourite novel. I have so much to say about Northanger Abbey. I could literally write a thesis on it. I could do an entire PhD on Northanger Abbey. I'm actually going to make an entirely separate video about Northanger Abbey because I have so much to say about just the relevance it has as a commentary on, like, current pop culture. Oh God, I love it so much, and it's so slept on. Like, I feel like no one knows Northanger Abbey, no one talks about it. There's only one adaptation. And initially that annoyed me. I was like, why is Northanger Abbey the only one that's only got one adaptation? And then I was like, oh, it's because it's perfection incarnate. Like, it doesn't, no one else will be able to do a better job. So why bother? Why bother? Just don't bother. Just watch this one and only this one for the rest of your life. I love it. Obsessed with the casting. Perfectly cast. Perfect start to finish. Stunning movie, stunning novel. Finito. Next.
Say what? I was on my way to find you.
Why?
Because I cannot let you leave Sanditon again.
We have reached our final novel, guys. Now, I know that I shouldn't have technically included Sanditon because it was Jane Austen's unfinished novel. It's the novel she was writing when she died. It was not complete whatsoever. So really I shouldn't have included it, especially when I didn't include Lady Susan / Love and Friendship. But there's a very specific reason that I did include Sanditon, and that reason is this. I love Sanditon so much that it is a really, really big part of my entire personality. It's one of, if not my number one favourite romantic drama ever made. It's so good. I just think there is literal crack in it. I don't know what it is. I rewatch Sanditon so often. Last time I rewatched Sanditon, it was so good that as soon as it was finished, I was like, I have to watch it again. Keep in mind, this is 3 seasons of TV. All the other TV is like a few episodes. I think at most 6 episodes in all the other TV series in here, which isn't of many. How many TV series is in here? Pride and Prejudice, Sense and Sensibility, and this Emma. I think 3 episodes, I think 4 episodes, and I think 6. This, 3 seasons. I watched it 3 or 4 times in a row, back to back, nothing else in between, because I was like, oh my God, I need my Sanditon fix. Sanditon also holds my OTP, which is really saying something because historically it's always been Damon Elena from the Vampire Diaries. It still may be, but my OTP may be Charlotte and Mr. Colburn. I'm so deeply obsessed with them. Absolute perfection. Again, I have so much to say about Sanditon that it will be its own video, I think. Especially, I really want to talk about like the concept of creating a Jane Austen hero as like an amalgamation of every other hero, which is what they did in Sanditon, which I think is why it's so good. It's literally every other hero here, like jigsawed together to make the perfect man in Sanditon, and it works so well. I don't really know what else to say. It's like one of, if not my favourite TV show of all time. It's my favourite on-screen couple of all time. Oh God, I just love it so much. So that's my Jane Austen ranking. This video is probably going to be really long, depending on how I cut it down. So thank you so much for watching till the end if you did. Hey, Editing Lindsay here. So I did re-watch Sense and Sensibility, and I can say that it is really good, way better than I remembered. And I would actually bump it up 2 spots to right here between Pride and Prejudice and Emma. If you want to do this ranking yourself, I'll put a link to the tier list in the description below. You can also follow me on TikTok and Instagram if you want to. If you love Jane Austen, I'll be making a lot more videos on Jane Austen because I could talk about Jane Austen for my entire life. So if you like Jane Austen videos, then do subscribe because I will be making more. Also, leave a comment of your order, like the video. I hope I didn't offend anyone with my opinions. Once again, no shade to however you would rank these. That's the beauty of it. But yeah, I love you all most ardently, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye!